The rain hammered the tin roof of our family's old farmhouse like God's own judgment. Each drop an accusation I couldn't outrun. My sister Emily burst through the screen door, her face twisted in horror, clutching my phone like it was a smoking gun. Texts from a boy I'd never dared name aloud glowing on the screen. "Alex, what the hell is this? You're one of them? Mom and Dad are gonna kill you. Hell, I'm gonna kill you for lying to us all these years." I froze in the kitchen, the scent of Mom's apple pie still hanging in the air like a cruel joke, my heart slamming against my ribs as Emily's words sliced deeper than any knife. She hurled the phone at my chest, and in that split second, the world I'd built on whispers and hidden glances shattered. 18 years of pretending, gone in a flood of betrayal from the one person I trusted most. That night, under the flickering fluorescent light of the bus station in rural Ohio, with nothing but a duffel bag and $20 from my summer job, I boarded the Greyhound to New York City, the engine's rumble drowning out the sobs I finally let escape as the lights of Elmwood faded into the black. The city hit me like a freight train wrapped in neon and noise. New York wasn't the dreamscape from movies. It was a beast that chewed up dreamers like me and spat out the bones. I stumbled off the bus at Port Authority, the air thick with exhaust and the chatter of strangers who didn't give a damn about the kid with tear-streaked cheeks and a backpack slung over one shoulder. My plan? Non-existent. Just get lost enough that the shame couldn't find me. I crashed on a park bench in Washington Square that first night, the autumn chill seeping through my thin jacket as joggers and dog walkers blurred past like ghosts. Hunger gnawed at me by morning, but pride, or stupidity, kept me from calling home. Emily's final text burned in my mind. "Don't come back. You're dead to us." No apology, no plea for understanding. Just erasure. By day 2, desperation won. I pawned my watch, Grandpa's, the one with the cracked face, and bought a stale bagel and coffee from a cart vendor who eyed me like yesterday's trash. "Rough night, kid?" he grunted, sliding the change back with pity I hated. I nodded, mumbling thanks, and wandered into the village, drawn by the rainbow flags fluttering like beacons from lampposts. Greenwich Village. The gay Mecca, or so the stories went. If anywhere could swallow me whole, it was here. I found a dingy coffee shop called the Beanstalk, all mismatched chairs and chalkboard menus advertising bottomless mimosas on weekends. The barista, a lanky guy with pierced brows and a fade haircut, slid my free refill across the counter without asking. "You look like you need it," he said, his voice carrying that easy New York sarcasm laced with something warmer. His name tag read Javier. I learned later he was from Queens, second-gen Puerto Rican, studying graphic design at NYU on nights he wasn't slinging lattes. We talked, or rather he talked and I listened, about the city's underbelly, the hidden speakeasies where drag queens ruled the mic, the way Stonewall's ghosts still whispered in the alleys. Javier didn't pry about my story, but his eyes, dark and knowing, saw the fractures anyway. "Stay as long as you need," he said, nodding to the corner booth. "Just don't hog the outlet." That booth became my office. I nursed coffees for hours, sketching job ads on napkins, barista gigs, delivery boy, anything to keep the eviction notice from my future. Javier slipped me shifts under the table, wiping tables and bussing dishes for cash tips that smelled faintly of espresso grounds. It wasn't salvation, but it was shelter. And in those stolen moments between rushes, when the shop emptied and indie folk crooned from the speakers, Javier would lean on the counter, sketching doodles on order slips. Abstract hearts tangled in city skylines, boys holding hands under subway maps. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the windows in honey gold, he slid a sketch across to me. "What's your poison, Alex?" It was my name, scrawled in looping letters, encircled by a faint outline of a boy with messy brown hair. Me, or some version of it. My throat tightened. I'm gay," I blurted, the words tasting like rust after years locked away. Javier's smile was slow, genuine, the kind that crinkles the corners of eyes. "Yeah? Welcome to the Club Corazon. Coffee's on me tonight." That confession cracked something open in me, a fissure letting light in where shadows had ruled. Javier became my anchor, late-night walks along the Hudson, where we'd skip stones into the dark water and trade stories of first crushes gone wrong. His was a high school wrestler who'd ghosted him after prom. Mine, a faceless ache from Elmwood's locker rooms, where glances lingered too long but hands never did. We laughed about it, but underneath was the raw edge of survival, the quiet fear that love in this world came with claws. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. I sublet a closet-sized room in a walk-up on Bleecker Street, shared with 3 other strays. A theater kid from Texas named Riley, a quiet coder from Seattle called Theo, and Marisol, a fiery undocumented artist from Mexico who painted murals on our peeling walls. Rent was split 4 ways, barely scraping by, but it was home. Javier and I fell into something unspoken, brushing hands over countertops, knees touching under cafe tables, the electric hum of possibility without the weight of labels. Then came the call that shattered the fragile peace. It was a Tuesday, rain slicking the streets again, mirroring that Ohio downpour I'd fled. My phone buzzed during a slow shift, an unknown number with a 419 area code. Ohio. Heart pounding. I ducked into the back alley, the dumpster's stink mixing with my dread. Alex. Mom's voice, thin and trembling, like she'd aged a decade in weeks. Emily told us everything. We need to talk. The world tilted. Part of me ached to scream, to demand why silence had been their weapon, why Emily's betrayal cut deepest. But another part, the boy who'd once carved jack-o'-lanterns with her under harvest moons, just whispered, "Please, I'm in New York, Mom." Complicated. Pause heavy as lead. "Come home, son. Just for Christmas. We miss you." I hung up, tears mixing with the drizzle on my face. Home? The word tasted like ash. Javier found me there, huddled against the brick, and without a word, pulled me into his arms. His heartbeat was steady against my cheek, a lighthouse in the storm. "Whatever it is, we've got this," he murmured, his breath warm on my temple. In that moment, wrapped in his scent of coffee and cologne, I believed him. New York had given me a fight worth winning and maybe, just maybe, a love worth risking. But love, I learned, has a way of testing its own foundations. As winter crept in, frosting the windows and turning breaths to clouds, Javier's shifts stretched longer, his laughs shorter. He'd vanish into nights at design collectives that smelled of weed and whispered secrets, coming home with paint-flecked fingers and excuses that didn't quite land. I told myself it was the city grinding us down, not the cracks forming between us. Theo noticed first, over late-night ramen in our kitchen. "He's pulling away, man. Talk to him." I did. One frigid night on our fire escape, the city lights twinkling like distant stars. "Javi, what's going on? Feels like you're a ghost in your own life." He stared at his hands, knuckles white on the railing. "It's nothing, Alex. Just pressure. School, money, you know?" His kiss that night was fierce, desperate, but it left a hollow in my chest. Betrayal brews slow, like coffee left too long on the burner. Bitter, scalding when it finally spills. Christmas loomed, a siren call from the Midwest. Mom's plea echoed, tangled with memories of pine-scented trees and Emily's off-key carols. I booked the bus ticket in secret, telling Javier only that I needed space to breathe. His eyes darkened, but he nodded. "Go heal, Corazon. I'll be here." The ride back to Elmwood was a blur of snow-dusted fields and regret. As the bus pulled into the station, Emily waited under the awning, her coat dusted white, expression unreadable. No hug, no warmth, just a curt "Mom's inside. Dad's working late." The farmhouse looked smaller, worn, the porch swing creaking in the wind like a warning. Dinner was a minefield. Mom's forced smiles, Dad's averted gaze, Emily's pointed silence. We picked at turkey and pie, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Finally, as plates cleared, Mom reached across the table, her hand trembling on mine. "We were wrong, Alex. Scared. But you're our boy." Tears welled in her eyes, and for a heartbeat, forgiveness flickered. Then Emily shattered it. "You think it's that easy? He chose that life over us." The argument erupted like a storm, words flung like lightning, old wounds ripped wide. Dad stormed out, Mom sobbed into her napkin, and Emily's glare burned with something feral, protective. "I did it to save you. she hissed when we cornered in the hall later. From becoming like him, weak, broken. Him? Our brother, Uncle Tim, who died years ago in a car accident that whispers called suicide, run out for the same sin. Emily's betrayal wasn't just exposure. It was an echo of history she wielded like a shield. I left at dawn, the bus swallowing me back into anonymity. New York welcomed me with open arms, or so I thought. Javier was gone when I returned, our room stripped bare, a note on the pillow. Needed to find my own path. Sorry, Alex. You deserve better. Betrayal twice over. A 1-2 punch that left me gasping on the fire escape. The city indifferent below. Spring thawed the ice, but not the chill in my soul. I threw myself into work, picking up extra shifts at the Beanstalk, even as Javier's absence haunted the counters. Riley dragged me to open mics, where I'd recite half-formed poems about lost boys and reclaimed hearts. The crowd snaps a bomb on raw edges. Theo coded an app for queer youth shelters, pulling me in to test it. Stories of kids like me, kicked out and clawing back. It grounded me, this web of survivors, reminding me that family isn't blood. It's the ones who stay. Yet the ache for Javier lingered, a ghost in every sketch I doodled on napkins. One humid June evening, as thunder rumbled over the skyline, my phone lit up with his number. Alex? It's me. Can we talk? His voice cracked, laced with regret. We met at our old spot by the Hudson, the water lapping like uneasy confessions. He looked thinner, eyes shadowed. I screwed up, panicked, thought I wasn't enough for you after your family stuff. Ran to an old flame in Brooklyn. But it was bullshit. I miss us. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a slow unraveling. We talked till dawn, peeling back layers. His fears of inadequacy rooted in a father's abandonment. My terror of abandonment echoing Elmwood's rejection. By the time the sun crested, his hand in mine felt like possibility reborn. Not perfect, but real. We rebuilt brick by tentative brick. Movie nights in our cramped room. Weekend hikes in the Palisades where we'd shout our truths to the wind. Summer swelled with tentative joy. Javier's designs bloomed. Posters for pride events. Murals of intertwined hands against brick walls. I started therapy through a queer center in Chelsea, unpacking the knots Emily had tied. Betrayal from family cuts deepest because it's supposed to be safe, my counselor said, her voice steady as a compass. I wrote letters I never sent. To Mom, pleading for understanding. To Emily, raging at her fear-masked love. They sat in my drawer, words waiting for wings. Then autumn returned, leaves turning the parks to fire. A package arrived at the Beanstalk, unmarked, postmarked Ohio. Inside, Mom's apple pie recipe on yellowed cardstock, and a note in Emily's looping script. Found this cleaning. Remember the jack-o'-lanterns? Come home for real this time. My hands shook. Was it olive branch or trap? Javier squeezed my shoulder. Go. But take me with you, in spirit at least. The decision haunted my dreams, but the pull was magnetic. I booked the ticket for Thanksgiving, heart a war drum. The Greyhound hummed northward again. But this time the fields didn't mock me. They whispered of cycles, of harvests after fallow years. I clutched Emily's note like a talisman. Javier's parting kiss still tingling on my lips. Call me every hour, okay? And breathe, Alex. You've got this. His faith was my armor, light but unyielding. Elmwood greeted me with crisp air and the scent of wood smoke. The town unchanged save for a new Starbucks where the old diner stood. A concession to progress that felt like irony. Emily picked me up at the station, her truck idling curbside. She looked older, lines etching her eyes, a wedding band glinting on her finger. No words at first, just the crunch of gravel as we pulled away. Finally, congrats on the ring, I said, aiming for neutral. She glanced over, lips quirking. Yeah, Mike's good. Steady. A beat. Missed you, Alex. The farmhouse glowed warm against the dusk. Jack-o'-lanterns already carved on the porch. Lopsided grins that tugged at buried joys. Mom enveloped me in a hug that smelled of lavender and regret, her embrace fierce. My boy, she whispered, tears wetting my shoulder. Dad hung back, gruff nod his version of apology, but when he clapped my back later, muttering, "Proud of you, son," making it out there, it landed like absolution. Dinner unfolded with cautious grace. Turkey carved with precision, stories swapped like fragile china. Emily spoke of her teaching job at the high school, the kids who reminded her of us, rebellious, aching for more. I shared snippets of New York, the Beanstalk's chaos, Javier's murals that now dotted the village like urban wildflowers. Laughter crept in, tentative, when Dad recounted his latest fishing flop, the one that hooked his own boot instead of bass. But undercurrents swirled. As pie steamed on plates, Emily's gaze sharpened. "So, this Javier, he's the one." Her tone held curiosity laced with old protectiveness. I nodded, warmth blooming at his name. "Yeah, he's home." Mom beamed, but Dad shifted, fork scraping plate. "Just be careful, Alex. City's full of wolves." The warning hung, an echo of fears I'd outrun but not outlived. Night fell soft, the guest room mine again. Bed made with fresh linens, window framing the maple where we'd swung as kids. Sleep evaded, ghosts of that rainy expulsion pacing my mind. Around midnight, a creak on the stairs. Emily, in flannel pajamas, slipping in with 2 mugs of cocoa. "Can't sleep either?" she murmured, perching on the bed's edge. The silence stretched, companionable now, until she sighed. "I was wrong, Alex. That night. Panicked. Thought I was saving the family, like with Tim. But I broke us instead." Tim. The name we'd buried deep. Our brother, gone at 22. His accident a veil over the truth. Outed by a jealous friend, disowned in whispers, until despair claimed him on a rain-slicked back road. Emily had been 15, idolizing him. I'd been 12, adoring from afar. "You weren't saving anything?" I said softly, the words honed by therapy's edge. "You were scared. But fear isn't love, Em." Tears tracked her cheeks, and she gripped my hand. "Forgive me." I pulled her close, the hug a bridge over chasms. "Working on it. Every day." Dawn brought frost-kissed fields and a family walk to the creek, boots crunching leaves, breaths puffing white. Dad shared war stories, not Vietnam, but the quiet battles of a farmer's life, while Mom linked arms with me, quizzing Javier's favorite pie, apple, like mine. Emily lagged behind, snapping photos on her phone, her smile genuine. For stolen hours, we were us again. Siblings trading barbs, parents orbiting with quiet pride. It felt like mending thread by careful thread. But Thanksgiving's grace cracked on Saturday, when Mike joined us. Emily's husband, broad-shouldered and affable, with a handshake like a vice. Over coffee, talk turned to the future. Emily's pregnancy announcement, a glow in her eyes that softened the room. "A little one on the way," she beamed, hand on her belly. Cheers erupted, hugs exchanged. But Mike's toast carried an undercurrent. To family, sticking together, no matter what. His eyes met mine, lingering a beat too long, laced with something unspoken. Judgment, or just small-town caution? That night, unease gnawed. I stepped out for air, porch swing creaking under me, stars pricking the velvet sky. Footsteps. Mike, beer in hand, settling beside me uninvited. "Heard about your situation," he started, voice low. Emily filled me in. "Tough break." I stiffened, but he pressed on. "Look, I get it. Times change. But this town's still got its ways. Folks talk. Just watch your back for her sake. And the babies." The words landed like gravel, protective in intent but barbed in delivery. Betrayal's shadow, not from kin, but from the ally we'd assumed. I texted Javier at dawn, his reply a lifeline. "Sounds heavy. You okay? Fly back soon. Miss your face." The flight home, bus to airport, wings cutting clouds, felt like escape laced with unfinished business. New York swallowed me back, horns blaring welcome. Javier waiting at the gate with a sign. Corazon returns. His kiss was salt and sweet, erasing miles. Winter deepened our roots. Javier's exhibit at a Soho gallery drew crowds. Canvases of queer resilience, boys like us etched in bold strokes against stormy skies. I stood beside him, chest swelling, as critics murmured praise. Your muse? One asked, nodding to a portrait. My eyes, my smile, captured in oils. Javier grinned. My everything. Yet Elmwood's echo lingered. Emily's texts grew frequent. Ultrasound pics, nursery debates, bridging the gap with baby kicks and midnight worries. Tell me about New York winters, she'd write. Are they as magical as the movies? I'd send pics of Central Park blanketed white, Javier building lopsided snowmen. In return, she'd share Elmwood's quiet charms. First snow on the farm, Dad's failed attempt at snow angels. Spring bloomed with promise. We moved to a one-bedroom in Brooklyn, Javier's freelance gigs swelling. My promotion to assistant manager at the Beanstalk affording exposed brick and a tiny balcony. Life felt stitched whole. Mornings tangled in sheets, evenings sketching dreams over takeout. But conflict brewed subtle in the what-ifs that surfaced over wine. What if we had kids? Javier mused one night, fingers tracing my palm. I laughed it off. Adopted Rugrats, maybe? But the seed took root, watering doubts. Emily's due date neared, a beacon pulling me west again. Come for the birth, she pleaded over video call, her face round and radiant. Be the uncle he deserves. Javier encouraged it. Go. Family's worth the fight. I flew solo, landing in Toledo under a sky bruised purple. The hospital room hummed with beeps and anticipation. Mom pacing, Dad dozing in vinyl chair. Emily labored through the night, her grip on my hand a vice of vulnerability. I'm scared, Alex, she gasped between contractions, of messing him up like we did. I wiped her brow, voice steady. You won't. Love fixes most breaks. Dawn broke with a cry. Little Noah, red-faced and furious, placed in her arms. The sight cracked me open. Her tears, his tiny fist, the circle completing. We named him after our grandfather, but in quiet moments, Emily whispered, After you, 2 new beginnings. Dad held him first, gruff, softening his lines. Mom cooed lullabies from our childhood. I snapped photos, heart full, texting Javier, he's perfect. Wish you were here. Discharge day brought Mike's family. Boisterous aunts, cousins with coolers of casserole. Hugs abounded, but sidelong glances my way carried the town's whisper network. One uncle clapped my shoulder too hard. Heard you're doing big things in the city, boy. Just keep it. Discreet around the kid. The barb stung, betrayal's kin from extended blood. I bit back retort, for Emily's sake, but the flight home soured with it. Javier sensed the shift, pulling truths over late-night tea. They still don't get it, I vented, pacing our kitchen. Like I'm a threat to Noah just by breathing. He drew me close, chin on my shoulder. You're not. Your family, the best kind. His words mended, but the fracture widened when, weeks later, a package arrived. Baby booties from Elmwood, with a note from Mike. For the godfather? If you'll have it. Olive branch or obligation. I pinned it to our fridge ambiguities trophy. Summer scorched the city. Fire escapes turning ovens. Javier landed a commission for a pride float. Massive banners of woven stories, queer icons marching in ink. I helped paint, strokes bold as our love. But exhaustion crept. His deadlines, my double shifts covering for vacations. Arguments sparked over small fires. Forgotten laundry, late texts, fueled by unspoken fears. You're drifting again, I accused one sticky night, sweat slicked and spent. He recoiled. And you're clinging too tight. Let me breathe, Alex. The words echoed Javier's old note. A ghost rising. We cooled in silence. Make-up sex a bandage, not a cure. Therapy solo now, Javier too busy. I unpacked it. My terror of loss, rooted in Elmwood's rejection, now poisoning us. Love isn't possession, my counselor urged. It's trust. Autumn winds carried change. Emily's updates flooded. Noah's firsts, smile, roll, gurgle, each a tether. Visit soon, she urged. He asks for Uncle Alex in his sleep, laughter through tears. Javier softened too, joining calls, cooing at the screen. Cute kid, takes after you. Then the call that upended all, mom, voice quavering. Alex, it's Dad. Stroke. Not good. Heart plummeting. I booked the red-eye Javier packing my bag. I'll follow in a week. Work deadline. The hospital in Toledo was sterile hell. Beeps a dirge. Dad lay pale, tubes snaking, but his eyes flickered recognition. Son, he rasped when I gripped his hand. Sorry. For everything. Tears choked me. Water under the bridge, Dad. Vigil stretched days. Mom's quiet strength. Emily juggling baby and bedside. Noah's gurgles pierced the gloom. A reminder of life's stubborn pulse. Mike stepped up. Casseroles and coffee runs, his earlier barbs forgotten in crisis. Family sticks, he said simply, clapping my back sans judgment. Javier arrived midweek, disheveled from travel, enveloping me in the waiting room. Couldn't stay away. We tag-teamed nights, his sketches entertaining Noah while I read Dad bedside tales of New York triumphs. Improvement crept slow, therapy, home care, but hope rooted. Discharge brought us home to the farmhouse, a makeshift ICU of love. Javier extended his stay, charming the town with urban flair. Impromptu art classes for neighborhood kids, murals on the barn of Noah's whimsy. Dancing elephants, starry skies. Emily watched, thawing. He's good for you, she admitted over porch cocoa. For us. One evening, as harvest moon rose, Dad gathered us, frail but fierce, in the living room. I've been thinking, he wheezed, eyes on me. Tim, I failed him, pushed too hard. Won't do that to you, Alex. Or Noah. The confession hung, raw, redemptive. Hugs followed, tears cathartic. Back in Brooklyn, fortified, we dove deeper. Javier proposed therapy together. For us, not just survival. Sessions peeled us bare. His abandonment scars, my rejection armor. Trust rebuilt, stronger. Winter's Eve, Emily's video call. Noah's first Christmas. Come. We did plane tickets a splurge. Elmwood blanketed white, the farmhouse aglow. Noah toddled to us, arms wide. Dad, cane in hand, beamed. Toasts rang, to second chances, to love unapologetic. But joy's peak often precedes storm. New Year's, Javier's phone buzzed incessant. A client crisis. Go, I urged. He hesitated, then left, promising quick return. Days stretched, texts sparse, then silence. Dread coiled. A call to his studio. He quit last week. Said something about loose ends. Panic surged. I flew to the city, apartment echoing empty. Clothes gone, sketches packed. A note on the counter. Found my path without dragging you down. Forgive me. J. Betrayal's blade, sharper for its familiarity. Heart shattered. I curled on our bed, sobs racking. Elmwood's warmth a distant dream. The apartment felt like a tomb, echoes mocking every corner where Javier's laugh had lingered. I wandered numb through Brooklyn's gray streets, brownstones blurring into accusations. How did I miss it? Again, friends rallied. Riley with takeout and trash talk. Theo hacking a playlist of anthems to drown the ache. Marisol, back from a residency, painted over our walls, bold florals erasing his murals, a visual exorcism. He doesn't define you, Mijo, she said, brush dripping cerulean. You're the whole damn garden. But grief is a thief stealing sleep, appetite, color from days. Work blurred, customers' faces interchangeable. Javier's ghost in every sketch-pocked napkin. Therapy ramped up, sessions a battlefield where I waged war on self-doubt. Betrayal isn't your fault, my counselor repeated, mantra against the storm. It's his fracture, not your flaw. Slowly, cracks mended. I journaled furiously, pages filling with rage, then release. Letters to Javier unsent, poems of rebirth sold to open mics for claps that felt like stitches. Spring tiptoed in, cherry blossoms a pink defiance. Emily's check-ins anchored. Noah's mischief, Dad's steady gains. Come visit, she coaxed. Noah's asking for his uncle's stories. The pull warred with pain. Family a bomb. But travel conjured Javier's empty seat. I went anyway, bus this time reclaiming the route. Elmwood bloomed riotous, the farm a quilt of greens. Noah barreled into me at the door, pudgy arms a tackle hug. UNC Alex. His glee pierced the fog, pure as dawn. We built forts from hay bales, his giggles chasing shadows. Emily watched, belly swelling again, surprise number 2. Life doesn't pause for heartbreaks, she said over lemonade, feet propped. But it heals with them. Mom shared garden wisdom. Roots run deep, even after drought. Dad, stronger on his cane, took me fishing, creek waters murmuring absolution. Lost my way once, he confessed, line casting smooth. With Tim, with you, but regrets a poor master. Choose forward. His words, gravelly with truth, lightened the load. Mike thawed fully, grilling burgers with tales of his own doubts. Coming out as bi in a straight-laced clan, Emily his rock. I was an ass to you, he admitted, flipping patties. Feared you'd pull her into your world. Stupid. You're the steady one. Laughter bridged us, beers clinking in truce. Back in New York, momentum built. I pitched a blog, The Outcast Chronicles, anonymous tales from queer exiles, mine woven in. It caught fire, shares rippling through feeds, messages pouring. Your words saved me tonight. Purpose bloomed. A fire rekindled. The Beanstalk promoted me to manager. Javier's old booth became Story Corner, free rights for patrons nursing heartaches. Yet echoes persisted. A gallery opening, his name on the marquee. Javier Ruiz. Fractured paths. Curiosity clawed. I went, incognito in the crowd. His work screamed turmoil. Canvases torn and resewn. Figures reaching through voids. He spotted me mid-talk, faltering. After, in the alley, rain slicking us. Alex, God, you look good. His eyes, haunted. I panicked. Old patterns, running when it gets real. But I see now. You're it for me. Temptation tugged, but resolve held. You broke us, Javi. Twice. I can't rebuild on ruins. He nodded, tears mingling with drops. Deserve that, but if, ever, a ghost of a smile. Doors cracked. I left him there, heart-pounding triumph. Not vengeance, but victory over chains. Summer sizzled with reinvention. I mentored at the Queer Center, guiding kids fresh from couches and cruelty. One, a wiry teen named Kai from Ohio, irony's bite, mirrored my 18-year-old self. How'd you not shatter? He asked over pizza. Glues in the cracks, I said. Kintsugi, Japanese thing. Gold in the breaks. His grin sparked mine. Pride swelled Manhattan. Rainbows a tidal wave. I marched with the center's contingent, banner high, kicked out, but not down. Javier's float past. Ironic twist. His eyes finding mine in the throng. A nod, respectful distance. Progress. Emily's second due date loomed. I flew for it, solo strength my companion. Little Lila arrived squalling under July stars, her cry a symphony. Noah doted, tiny protector. The farmhouse pulsed with new life. Emily pulled me aside post-delivery, exhausted glow. You're my hero, Alex, for forgiving, for showing us grace. Hugs layered deep, family a tapestry rewoven. Fall painted the city amber, opportunities knocking. A publisher sniffed my blog, book deal offer, echoes of exile, queer survival in America. Elation surged. Javier's shadow faded to sepia. Signing party at the Beanstalk, friends toasting. To Alex, unbreakable. But climax brewed in whispers. A call from Mom. Emily's sick. Complications from birth. Bad. World tilted. Flight booked frantic. Landing in panic. Hospital lights harsh. Emily pale in bed. Noah and Lila with sitters. Infection, doctors said. Touch and go. Vigil redux, nights blurring in chairs. Prayers unspoken. Dad's hand in mine, Mom's rosary clicking. Mike paced, hollow-eyed. She fought for you once, he said. Now we fight for her. I read to her comatose form our childhood tales, New York adventures, voice cracking. Wake up, Em. Noah needs his mama. I need my sister. Fever broke on day 5, eyes fluttering open. Alex, weak, but hers. Relief crashed, tears communal. Recovery stretched months, but she mended scar stronger. Betrayal's my teacher, she whispered in rehab. Love's the lesson. Back home, book tour beckoned, Midwest stops, Elmwood finale. Reading to packed library, faces familiar. Old classmates, wary then warm. Q&A raw. How'd you survive? By choosing light, I said. Every time. Javier appeared in the back row. Uninvited but welcome? Post-event, coffee at the diner. Proud of you, he said. No please. Always was. Closure, gentle. Winter wrapped gentle. Book climb charts, proceeds to shelters. Javier and I, friends now, edges smooth, collaborated on illustrations. Emily visited, kids in tow, Brooklyn their playground. Full circle, she marveled, skyline at dusk. New Year's dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered over champagne flutes on our balcony. Mine. Embrace the unknown. Javier's presence, platonic anchor, eased old wounds. His latest series, Reunions, hung in a Chelsea gallery. Abstract embraces mirroring our mended paths. Emily's recovery fueled her fire, back teaching, advocating for queer-inclusive curricula in Elmwood schools. Noah's generation deserves better, she'd say on calls. Lila's babble chorus. Spring unfurled with a curveball. An invite to keynote at a national queer youth conference in D.C. nerves jangled me. The kicked-out kid, addressing hundreds? Javier coached. Speak your scars. They'll see the gold. The stage, spotlit, trembled under me, but words flowed. Elmwood's rain, New York's neon, betrayal's birthing strength. Applause thundered, teens lining for hugs. You gave me hope, one murmured, mirroring my past self. Purpose solidified, activism my new north. Tour winds carried me cross-country. Chicago panels on family reconciliation, LA workshops on art as therapy. In San Francisco's Castro, rainbow flags a sea, I met survivors who'd paved my road. Elders sharing Stonewall scars, their resilience a torch. Javier joined for the West Coast leg, our hotel rooms separate but dinners deep, dissecting life's plot twists over dim sum. Think we'd have made it without the breaks? He mused. Dunno, I replied, but they'd be shallower. Home to Brooklyn, summer's heat wave hit. The center buzzed, Kai's coming out success. A foster placement secured. My book spawned a podcast, Exile Echoes, guests spilling truths. A trans dad from Texas, a bi mom rebuilding post-divorce. Listeners surged. Audio LGBT badge a nod to hidden yearnings. Then conflict crested, betrayal specter rising anew. Emily's call. Frantic. Dad's gone, Alex. Heart attack. Sudden. Air evacuated lungs. Dad, stoic farmer. Late bloomer in grace. Snatched mid-harvest. Flight west a blur. Landing in grief's grip. Funeral wove Elmwood's fabric tight. Potluck casseroles. Eulogies laced with his quiet heroism. Integrating the local mill for immigrants. Anonymous checks to food pantries. I spoke last, voice steady. He taught me forward's the only direction, even when roads forked wrong. Mom clung post-burial. Your book, he read every page. Said you were his redemption. Tears salt-stung. Javier, arrived overnight, held space silent. Shiva stretched raw, stories surfacing. Dad's hidden letters to Tim, apologies penned but unsent till my words unlocked them. Emily and I sifted his study, finding my childhood drawings framed behind desk clutter. He kept us close, she sobbed. Mike anchored us, Noah and Lila's innocence a shield. Betrayal's old sting, transmuted to understanding. Dad's silence born of era's chains, not heart's malice. Return east brought reckoning. Grief's weight bowed me. Javier suggested a retreat, upstate cabin, Adirondacks whisper. We drove, no labels, just companions in healing. Lake mirrored skies, hikes peeled layers. His regrets voiced, my fears aired. One fireside night, stars blanket, he asked. Room for more. Vulnerability hung. I weighed trust's fragile rebuild. Slow, I said. But yes. Kiss tentative, then deepening reunion not of bodies but souls. Fall's palette framed our tentative dance. Coffee dates evolving to overnights, his hand in mine on subway rides. Emily approved via text. If he hurts you, I'll bury him in the cornfield. Laughter bridged miles. Mom downsized the farm, moving to townhouse near Emily. For the grandkids, she said. Visits wove tighter. Thanksgiving with Javier at the table, carving turkey like kin. Climax brewed subtle, in a letter arriving winter's cusp. Postmark Elmwood. Emily's hand but waited. Read alone, it warned. Inside, Dad's journal, unearthed in attic. Pages chronicled torment. Tim's loss a abyss, my outing a echo. But turning, entries post my exodus. Alex thrives in city lights. My boy brave where I faltered. Pride swells. Then the gut punch. Emily knew my doubts on Tim. Feared history's repeat. Her call to out him. My failing I urged silence but she acted alone. Forgive her fire. It's love's fierce form. Betrayal reframed. Not just sisters, but family's complicit hush. Rage flared, then ebbed to sorrow. I called Emily, voice quaking. Why hide this? Her pause, thick. Shame, Alex. Thought it mine to bear. Dad wanted you free of it. We wept, miles apart, mending's next layer. Come home, she urged. For Christmas. All of us. Javier and I arrived snow-dusted, Mom's embrace encompassing. Noah and Lila mobbed, tree-twinkling heirlooms. Dinner's grace. Toasts to Dad's legacy, Javier's mural gift. A barn fresco of our clan, intertwined. Emily pulled me porchside later, cocoa steaming. The journal. I'm sorry. Again. I hugged her fierce. We're even, Em. Scars match now. New Year dawned with dawn patrol. Family skate on frozen pond. Javier's wobbles comic relief. Laughter rang, pure as bells. Back in Brooklyn, our bond solidified. Rings exchanged quiet, spring wedding plans small center friends, Elmwood kin. Yet drama's thread tugged persistent. Pre-wedding jitters unearthed Javier's secret. An ex's return, temptations tested. I walked, he confessed pre-vows. Chose us. Trust's test passed, deeper roots. Vows under cherry blossoms. In breaks and gold, I choose you. Cheers erupted, Emily matron of honor, Noah ring-bearer tumbling petals. Summer post-wedding glowed golden. Honeymoon in Provincetown. Cape's dunes whispering secrets, hands linked on whale watches. Back home, life layered rich. Javier's gallery solo, my podcast Emmy nod for social impact. Emily's visits doubled. Lila's first steps on our rug, Noah's art echoing Javier's flair. Mom thrived in her cottage, volunteering at the library, devouring my book club selections. Fall brought harvest of joys. Conference invites, a second book brewing, reunions, threads of queer kinship. Collaborating with Javier, illustrations breathing life into prose. One chapter, Sister's Shadow, wove Emily's arc, betrayal to bridge, raw and redemptive. She read drafts, tears smudging ink. Publish it. Our story heals others. Winter's hush cradled milestones. Anniversary dinner at the Beanstalk, booth our origin. Javier sketched our hands intertwined. Eternal. Emily's call, joyful. Third, surprise. Laughter cascaded. We planned a farm visit, bellies full of anticipation. Climax crested gentle, in a spring storm. News rippled. Elmwood School Board, conservative surge, axing Emily's queer curriculum. Backlash brewed, protests, petitions. They're erasing us, she vented, voice steel. I rallied, podcast episode amplifying, donors pledging legal aid. Javier designed protest graphics, fists raised in rainbows. Kai, now college-bound, organized youth march. Road trip west, convoy of kin. Us, Mom, even my calling signs. Elmwood Square pulsed, 100 strong. Noah on shoulders chanting, love wins. Emily spoke, unbowed. My brother taught me. Kick us out, we build new homes. But we return, to educate, to embrace. Board relented, compromise curriculum intact. Victory hug collective, Dad's spirit in the wind. Betrayal's final echo? Faded scar, testament to growth. Javier and I fostered teen exile, echoes of me, guiding his art, our home expanding. Years layered, Noah's bar mitzvah, Emily's nod to roots, Lila's recitals, our adopted son's first exhibit, Mom's 80th, farm reunion, tables groaning, stories looping like vines. Endings humanism, not flawless utopia, but tapestry resilient. On a porch swing, Emily beside me, kids romping below. Astonished? She asks, echoing title's promise. I smile, Javier's hand warm in mine. Every day, we made it broken, beautiful. In America's heartland and harbors, love persists. Not despite storms, but through them. Kicked out once, welcomed forever. The circle, gold-veined, holds.